Mr. Miller. Please, come in and take a seat.
Alright, let's see what she's...
So, I gather you've got some questions you'd like to ask me.
Let's see what she's going to say to these questions when...
I'll do my best to answer them.
When I throw them at her.
Shall we begin?
Okay. Store ID.
Is that what he said? That his keycard was stolen? Well, I don't think there's any way I could confirm or deny that for you, Mr. Miller.
Liar.
I'm not even sure what that would have to do with me. I don't believe it was stolen, so it would be futile for me to try and answer that.
Don't believe it was stolen. She got the email from him. It was deleted.
For our own key cards and security
Lying
logins.
bitch.
Actual keys aren't used in this part of the building. It's all very cutting edge, so anything like that would have been solely down to Alex.
He logged the stolen card.
That just seems like conjecture to me, Mr. Miller. It sounds far too convenient to say that he logged it as stolen on the day that it happened. If that's true, then where did he log it? At what time? Wouldn't security know about that? I'm sorry, but it's all a little too convenient for me.
Uh-huh. Present evidence. He asked you to log it. Stolen. You didn't.
I don't remember that at all, I can assure you.
Bullshit.
That email must have gone through to my inbox just after I had the chance to see it.
You deleted
I believe that
it.
your research is accurate, I honestly do, but there's no way of knowing now if it was filed. Honestly, it's escaped my memory, and all of the records were destroyed in the blast, so...
Ah. Convenient.
It appears that he might be, at least about that, but I ask you, what does that really prove?
That he could be innocent.
Or that he was clever enough to cover his tracks before he committed a terrible act of terrorism. You may find this a hot topic for your book, Mr. Miller, but I'm not convinced at all. I would be careful who you share this information with, Mr. Miller.
Right. Keys, anyone want to use them?
Did I? A few things around here probably still use keys. It's outdated if you ask me. You won't find anything in the facility that uses them, though our security protocol won't allow them. But I think the older areas still have the old-fashioned key and lock. No? Marlon Thornton, the cleaner, he's the only person who uses them for stock rooms and locker rooms, you know. Oh, that reminds me. If you're over at the Meta Centre later, you should take a look at the old Victorian baths. They're going to be knocked down soon, so you should take a look there before you go. No? They're just quite nice. I tell you what, I'll ask Marlon to open them up for you later on. If he's got time, then they'll be open for you when you go and have your meeting with Chance Crow. Anyway,
Ah, yes, Mr. Crow. Okay, phone records.
he says he wasn't in the building. Well, I don't know how he'd be able to back up that claim. The police found him not too far away from here, that's true, but it was within walking distance. He could have easily got where he did in time. And there's a whole bunch of other evidence. I'm sorry, I just don't see how he thinks that's going to hold any weight. Like who? No, I don't think so. I think it's quite cut and dry. I can't imagine someone else over in the Meta Centre doing it. They like to sound like they know what they're doing, but most of them are incompetent. I know for a fact that some of them use their room number for their alarm code, for God's sake. Does that sound convincing to you? Alex was the only one who really knew what he was doing, and anyway, it's like I said, there was more evidence, wasn't there? Well, for example, the argument we had the night of the attack. Alex and I were having a heated discussion that night. I know that's somewhat anecdotal, but to me it's as good as gold in terms of evidence. Wouldn't you agree?
See, I found the phone records.
That must be a mistake, surely.
Oh shit.
I was sure. Maybe now that I think about it. I mean, that could have been earlier, perhaps. So, he was calling from outside the facility?
Yep.
It's hard to remember that night clearly now, but there it is.
Putin wasn't here, cast some doubt over things.
Does it really? I mean, it just shows that he could have just... I don't know. Well, I don't know where you got those phone records, Mr. Miller, but I'm not sure how they can help. I don't think I have anything else to add on that point. Nothing comes to mind.
There's no evidence. No evidence that he was there. Well, here we go. You know, Alex says that the Union are lying about their facts. Can you prove him wrong? Let's see what she has to say about this.
He thinks I'm lying. That's not really news, Mr. Miller. I think anyone in the country could have told you what Alex thinks about what we do here. He has a twisted view of things. Out of curiosity, what is it he thinks is so bad about the act?
Country's been lied to about the numbers.
Well, this is getting far-fetched. And I suppose I'm the one lying to the country.
Yep.
Don't answer that. I'm sorry, but I have to deal with this kind of accusation day in and day out. I guess it's an occupational necessity.
Let's see. Evidence. Your propaganda doesn't match the figures.
If by propaganda you mean the important work I do here, then I'd ask you to be a little bit more respectful of the current political climate, Mr. Miller.
Oh, fuck off.
We are very thorough with our work here, so I'm sure whatever you think you found will be easily cleared up.
Oh, really?
I make the posters and advertising materials, but I'm not in charge of the figures that make them up. For that, you'd have to speak to someone like Chance Crow over in the Meta Centre. Let me ask you something, Mr. Miller. You've heard the protesters, you've seen our work here. Do you believe the Union Act is good?
Makes us boy guilty.
Well then, perhaps I can simplify it for you.
Look at
Alex
that
Dubois
there.
blew up a part
100,000
of
new
this
jobs
facility
in the
because he
year.
wasn't
Bullshit.
patriotic enough to see
Let's
what
on
the
National Health
country needs.
Services. Relocation of
In doing
illegal
so,
immigrants
he
in
proved to
1989.
us and everyone else that what
Oh,
we
bullshit.
do here is needed now more than ever. I mean, whatever figures you found, they don't change the facts. We have a problem in this country, and there are a small few willing to do anything about it. We are the few.
Huh.
I believe in what I do, and I do it to the best of my ability. You can write that in your book.
You're clearly very passionate about your work.
Passionate is a good word for it, Mr. Miller. What would our country be without it?
Right. Room numbers.
Excuse me, what? I didn't say anything about an alarm code.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I must have misspoken. Everyone in the Meta
That's
Centre
actually
is
a liar.
very careful with their security. I wouldn't... well, let's not dwell on that.
Assume you were talking about Chance's
No,
office.
it was another office. Can we please move on to a
Bullshit.
different subject, Mr. Miller? Don't you have something about my work that you'd like to ask at all?
Yeah, could you stop lying? Yeah, you're a vendetta.
A vendetta against him? Well, that was blunt, but honestly, I'm not surprised. I wondered if you'd bring this up. It's rather troubling, but Alex and I never seem to get on. And on the night of the attack, he threatened me. I didn't want to make this publicly personal, but it looks like he has anyway. Yes, he left me a voice message. He was very angry about something, and he took it out on me that night. I have no doubts in my mind that that man is guilty of everything they say he did. And I'm frankly amazed that anyone would stand up for him. No offence.
I heard the message. He didn't threaten you.
Well, you have done your research. I feel bad for what happened to Alex. I really do, but
Bullshit.
I can't be held responsible for every little action taken. It may have sounded like Alex was the victim, but I can assure you, I felt very threatened by his message. You heard what he said.
I'm sure you were
Everything that
thinking
happens
dirty
next
immigrant.
is because of me, and we all know what happened next.
Did it mean that his family being taken was your fault?
Well, you don't sugarcoat your words, Mr. Miller. But tell me, what do you think about it?
Doesn't prove he's guilty.
I suppose it doesn't. But I'm not here to defend my actions, Mr. Miller. Anyway, you heard the tape. I think it speaks for itself.
That's all the evidence presented?
Well,
Just
I don't
trying to
envy you
have
your job.
fun.
Shall we move on?
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Miller, that's all I've got time for, I'm afraid. Can you please see yourself out?
I'm taking those with me.